I'm Colton Sutley with my co-host Tim Friedhaber, and you're listening to the Caution Free podcast. Today we're doing something a little different. We're going to do a Lernerville Speedway Fab Four recap. The Fab Four is their weekly program, as well as a Commonwealth Clash and Steel City Stampede preview with Lernerville track announcer Eric Big E Westendorf. Big E, just to get started, just kind of tell us how you feel this past season went.
I think overall this season went really well. Appreciate you guys having me onto the show again. Did a season preview, so I thought it'd be cool if we could do a recap as well. Unfortunately, it ended very melodramatically, and when I got the call in championship, it's supposed to be night, got the call around 2 o'clock that we were canceling, and it hadn't even rained yet. It's probably the closest I've come to being fired at Lernerville. I hate canceling on a forecast, but like I said on the PA the last couple nights there, our drivers have pretty much told us over the past year or so with the economy the way it is, they would rather that we're wrong in that respect of canceling early and it ends up not raining. Then they can make plans to go race elsewhere or, spend time in the shop or with their family than to roll the dice on a, 50-50 forecast, get to the track, pay all that diesel fuel to get there, pay all the pit passes, do all the work to get everything ready, and then then it rained 5, 6, 7 o'clock. So especially with it being championship night and not having a natural rain date, the Thompson family that owns the Speedway made the difficult decision to cancel championship night and really only affected Christian and Chris Schneider. AJ Flick had clinched our sprint car championship already. Michael Norris had clinched our late model championship already. And pretty much all Garrett Crummert had to do was show up on championship night and would have accumulated enough points just by taking the green flag. And the heat might not have even needed to start the feature and would have had enough points to win the championship. So, and I've just resigned myself that even though he's one of the all-time greats in the division, Chris Schneider, for some reason, is just destined never to be a track champion. He's sacrificed so much for the sport over the years with SS Chassis, and he's won dozens of races, but never. This is probably the best season he's ever had in our points. But Christian Schneider, and no relation between the two, as similar as their names are, and Christian actually works for Chris, but they're not. There's no biological blood relation between the two. But just a great season between those two all year, and they race so hard, so clean. The sportsmanship between them, not only on the track and in victory lane, but through the week, helping each other out. And Christian's learned a ton from working with Chris at SS Chassis, and just on race nights, just being able to take a look at the track conditions and adjust the car accordingly. I think Christian would tell you that Chris is one of the top reasons that he is our 2024 track championship. And I know he would have rather raced it out on the track, but really big accomplishment for a young driver. And, Christian had the opportunity in the end of the year to do some rush late model racing. So I'm not sure that Christian is going to be a, lifelong driver in the pro stock division, but to have this opportunity to win a championship so early in his career, I know it meant a lot to him and his family. And in a lot of ways, just knowing how selfless Chris is, it probably meant more to him for Christian to win than if he would have won himself. So I think it probably played out the way God and, Chris, is a big believer and, he's always one of the drivers who thinks, Jesus Christ first and all this kind of thing. So things have a way of working out the way they should. And like I said, a very melodramatic, bittersweet end of the season, but overall it was a great season.
Now, AJ Flick won his overall track record, eighth championship. Just kind of talk about how impressive that is for him to achieve that accomplishment.
Yeah, completely unprecedented, right? Nobody's ever won that many in the sprint car division, and the only other driver to win 8 in any division was Brian Swartzlander, who is in the Lernerville Speedway Hall of Fame. He's in the Dirt Car Northeast Hall of Fame. The only 2 other drivers that I think have won that many total are Lou Blaney and Bob Waring Jr. or Bob Waring Sr. Excuse me. And if you could build a Mount Rushmore of Lernerville Speedway, those 2 would definitely be on it. So we're talking very rarefied air, and he really polarized the crowd this year more so than ever. I've never heard that many fans boo AJ before. But Lynn Geisler went through that. Brian Swartzlander, John Flinner, Ed Lynch Jr. When you win a lot, you go through that. So, AJ was always very, professional and respectful about it. He knows, kind of his place in the history of Lernerville Speedway, and it's not lost on him. I had asked a question one point when he won the Gene Lynch Classic. He actually, had kind of said over the PA, hoping that Cy would come out and talk about the race, because he really, part of him was rooting for Cy to win that race, and it wasn't a thing where he was going to let him win it, but he knows how much that race meant to Cy, and how much the Lynch family means to Lernerville Speedway. So he's kind of a fan and a historian of the track as well. So his status and his place in the history book of Lernerville Speedway is definitely not something he takes for granted. He takes great pride in it, but it's also very humbling for him.
What did it mean to have the Gene Lynch Classic be at Lernerville this year? As in years past, it's been down at East Bay, but now it's hopefully found a forever home at Lernerville.
You're cutting out on me a little bit. I'm not sure how well you can hear me, but to me, it meant the world. Gene was. Sorry, I think I may have you better back now. You're still.
Yeah.
I was losing you there for a little bit. Okay. So like I said, to me, it means the world. Gene was, not only probably the, right up there with Carol Gamble as one of my biggest mentors. So Carol had that position for a long time after Gene. And, both were very gracious and accepting, but also held me to a very high standard. And I think that's why I hold our PR people now to a very high standard, because again, I know what the history of Lernerville Speedway means. I know how the Speedway should be promoted, how much we need to keep the history of that Speedway alive. So, she didn't always agree. I mean, there was a period of time where her and her husband were not in the good graces of Don Martin at Lernerville Speedway for some things that Ed Lynch Sr. had done on the track. But in time, everything fell in line, and, it was a good relationship. Things just get heated, on Friday night sometimes. And but Gene was such a great ambassador for our sport, and especially for Lernerville Speedway. Just a wonderful lady, a great family. And I'll be honest, when I was growing up sitting in turn one, I wasn't an Ed Lynch Jr. fan, except for the Outlaw Nights. Obviously, that was our guy on the Outlaw Nights. But on Friday nights, I was a Craig Rankin, Mark Casella, Dale Blaney guy. So anybody that could beat Ed Lynch Jr. at that time. And then when I came back from college, I started working on Chad Hill's sprint car, and Chad is was Ed's brother-in-law in a previous marriage. So when I started working on Chad's car, we pitted beside the Lynches for a long time and got to know Junior and Senior very well. Cy was about 2 when I started. So, in my role, I'm supposed to be impartial, but it's hard when, you've kind of spent the last 20 some years being an extended part of that family and being so close, with the Lynches. So, just a remarkable woman, means a lot to the local racing community and even the national racing community. But, just on a personal level, she was, like I said, just a great mentor, a great friend, somebody that I could bounce ideas off. And she didn't have much of a filter left. She would always, as professionally and politely as she could, like, no, that's really dumb, don't do that. Or she would encourage me. It's like, yeah, take a shot, see how it works out. So we'll definitely miss her. Loved every opportunity I had to interact with her. So to have that race at our speedway really means a lot, and appreciate that Tyler Beekner took the initiative and got the blessing from the family, and then got the permission of the Thompson family at Lernerville Speedway to make it happen.
So, you already had the Commonwealth Clash this year, which was high level.
Oh no, that's coming up.
Silver
Oh
Cup.
my gosh, I'm sorry. I've been
Yeah,
doing
that's one
this.
coming
I've
up.
been doing that all week. I thought about this question for like 5 minutes and I messed it up.
We've had a firecracker
Yeah.
and a silver cup.
Yeah. Okay. So you had the Silver
All good.
Cup sanctioned by High Limit, obviously, and then the Commonwealth Clash is coming up. I'd say it was a pretty good turnout for the Silver Cup. But how do you see the car count being for the Commonwealth Clash?
It's so hard to tell. It's so dependent on the weather, especially in this economy when you're expecting drivers from Western Ohio and Central PA to drive 4 or 5 hours to come to a race, even though it's a 2-night race. So it makes it a little bit easier to make that trip as opposed to a midweek show like the Silver Cup, and the finale is twice the money. So it's a $10,000 prelim on Friday night and $50,000 to win finale on Saturday night. So it makes it easier to justify that expense when you can, drive and park, stay overnight. But I don't know. I mean, last year we had a terrific car count. Everything just lined up well. The crowd was unbelievable, and obviously Dale Jr. played a huge part in that. We can't rely on, Dale Jr. coming for a pop-up Dirty Mo podcast. It's just the stars definitely aligned last year, but we're hopeful that with the 2-day show that as long as the weather is good, it should rival or even exceed like a Firecracker Silver Cup crowd. But weather is obviously just going to play a huge role.
Yeah, and last year it rained earlier in that day or the day before, and it looked like it could rain, and it was still awesome to see not good of a crowd even with that it having rained earlier in the day and kind of being a colder day.
Yeah, it was a great night. The crowd, like I've never seen, you always see a little bit of it, but I've never seen that many NASCAR shirts. So, it was definitely a different crowd than we have for a lot of our events, but, we were hopeful and we really tried to go out of our way. And when I say we, not just Lernerville Speedway, but Kendra Jacobs was there from Flow Racing. She has a lot of experience from Knoxville and some time in NASCAR of how to embrace fans that may be there for the first time and how to get them to come back. So we're hopeful that a lot of those fans that came last year just to see Dell Jr. stuck around for the race and are looking forward to coming back this year, that they kind of didn't really know the hidden gem that was right there in their backyard while they've been watching NASCAR on Sundays for all those years. So yeah, I mean, like I said, weather always plays a big factor, but we know that our guys will be there. We know that the high limit guys will be there. I'll be honest, with school starting, I haven't looked to see, if or where the Outlaws are even racing. I'm assuming they have a race that weekend, but or what's going on in Central Pennsylvania or Western Ohio. So, we have pretty good relationships with the speedways around here, and we try not to schedule on top of each other. And I know it's frustrating for the fans when we pull the sprint cars or the modifieds or the late models off of the Fab4 car. But when we do that, it's to accommodate the requests of the local speedway, Sharon, Mercer, Pittsburgh, Marion Center, and then to work with the United Late Model Series, the BRP Modified Tour. I'm always a big advocate of it's a racing community, and Lernerville is a big part of it, but we're not the only, we don't live on an island. We're not in a silo. So everything we do contributes to, but can also kind of rock the boat of the racing community. So I'm always mindful of that too, because without all those Saturday tracks, we don't have as many cars and fans because we need something to sustain it. So we're really lucky of being the only, really the only player on a Friday night. And I know too that some of the drivers Saturday instead of Friday, and we're racing this Saturday instead of Friday. But we know too that a big portion of our crowd is going to miss their son play football or their son or daughter in the marching band. I announce, either live streams or home football games for Freeport. So I wouldn't be there on Friday nights. It's just, a lot of people prioritize their family even over their passion this time of year. So we do switch to Saturdays, and that divides some of our staff up because a lot of our staff that works on Fridays works at other Saturday tracks. And, Vince Laboon, who has been an amazing advocate for pro stocks in this region, and most specifically at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway, posted this evening that by his math, there are 6 tracks running pro stocks this weekend. So, but my spin on that from the driver's side, not even looking at it from a track official side, and he kind of guesstimated 40 cars. So I said, if you round up to 42 and divide those 42 drivers over 6 tracks evenly, everybody's going home with top 7 purse money for all those guys, instead of hoping to make a 20-car feature, and then the chance of getting, not a whole lot of money for running 11th or 20th. So from the driver's perspective, it's a great option because the drivers can go wherever they feel most comfortable, whatever is the cheapest commute, wherever their sponsors and families are closest. So I really think it's a great opportunity for the drivers in the region. And, it does, suck for fans because you don't know where those guys are going. The pro stock guys aren't as, active on social media. So a lot of those guys, you don't know where they're going until they show up. So if you're trying to figure out where your favorite driver is going, it can be a little bit frustrating, but for the drivers, I think it's a great weekend. A lot of money is going to be taken home by those guys, and it's a good time of year to do it because, like I said, the economy's tough. Guys are running out of money and equipment. So hopefully it'll be a good weekend for the drivers. Forecast doesn't look great, but it's 5 days away. The forecast could change dramatically. So, hopefully everything works out and our pro stock guys can all win a bunch of money this weekend wherever they decide to race.
So going,
go
sorry, Tim, you
ahead.
You can go ahead. I was going to say, well, so going back to kind of talking about this season, who are some of the surprises this year with the Fab4 racing?
For me, how frequently Brandon Spithaler was able to race with us by racing a full-time fast schedule. And, with no disrespect to the other drivers in the division, Brandon was, kind of the foil to AJ Flick. He was the one where when he was there, there was a good shot that AJ wasn't going to win that night. AJ's just been so good this year. Like I said, we have a lot of great drivers. But Brandon was, when he was there and when he was on, he was every bit as good as AJ. Had some bad luck, lost a good bit of equipment, spent the second half of the season in Brent Mattis's backup car and won in it and was very competitive in it. So Brandon is just a great driver. And, I was really impressed with, and probably a little bit partial because I've always been a sucker for yellow sprint cars. So I was very impressed with Jeremy Weaver this year. I'm friends with the family, just growing up in the community. Jacob Eggenwald is a young driver that lives, you could literally walk to his house 5 minutes from the track. Like you go across 356, you can be at his house in 5 minutes. He's that close. So he didn't quite have the season he was hoping for. I think he was hoping to build out the success he had at the second half of last year, but those guys are just so good. AJ makes it look easy. Brandon makes it look easy. It's tough. Just running in the top 5 there is really a challenge. So Cody Bova had a great season. It was great to see him win his first feature. It was great to see Jared Miley back in a super late model. He had right after the Firecracker, he retook the seat of the Joe Crowder Racing 10 that he was in years ago. Joe and John had a split, and I'm not sure the nature of that, and I don't need to know. I'll let Jared's back in the 10. So, we have 2 really stout cars every Friday night. And then can't really say there's many other surprises. Like I said, I was very impressed with Christian Schneider's ascension to, being that dominant and winning that many races ahead of Chris Schneider. I know guys like Jake Dietz and Chase Lambert had very disappointing seasons. They were, definitely hoping for a lot more. Same with Colton Walters in the modifieds. One of the biggest surprises of the season I was, really excited about was Brian Swartzlander retired in the off season and just kind of out of the blue showed up in a Bill Rose owned modified. And that was only a night or two, but it was pretty cool while it lasted. So all in all, a great season. It's always, like I said, bittersweet when Fab4 racing comes to an end, but, just looking forward to the Clash and the Stampede. And then this weekend, we have the big race for the Shelton Brand family in memory of Ken Shelton Brand Sr. So Hoping for a good car count in the late models. We'll get what we get with the E-mods and the pro stocks, but the late models take center stage. So we're hoping for, 30, 40 cars and, a great field, and should be good Saturday night. Again, hopefully the weather cooperates. If not, then, we'll do our best to reschedule that race. It means a lot to Tammy and Kenny and Levi. So they do a lot for the racing community. So we always should make sure that we do the best we can to help them out.
We had a great turnout for the Flow Racing Night in America last week too. So hopefully it'll stay the same.
Yeah, car count was amazing. Fans were a little bit late, but we expected that. It's a midweek show. It's the first time we've ever run it before. You can only, with that Flow Racing, it's not quite Lucas Oil or the Outlaws where you can, bank on 12 or 15 certain guys being there. There's 5 to 10, give or take, that, you can be pretty sure, but it definitely helped us out that there was a Lucas race about 2 to 3 hours one direction, and an outlaw race the other direction. So we were right in the middle, right on everybody's way back from Eldora. So it definitely helped us out in that. And we didn't know what to expect with the pro stocks. Originally, it was just supposed to be a 20-car invitational, and we ended up not going the invitational route and ended up 33 cars. So I know a lot of the people on Flow, that were watching the late models weren't hoping to see 48 races of pro stocks, but it was a great problem for us to have. And we had some guys that have never raced there before, just to have the opportunity to race on, I keep saying national TV, but it's really a worldwide live stream. I mean, Flow Racing is huge all over the world, and to have the eyes on the speedway and, to have that midweek show, Bobby Pierce and Ricky Thornton and, all the top guys at Lernerville. It's just an amazing opportunity, but, we know the crowd wasn't going to be great. School starting, economy's in the dumps, and it was a Wednesday night show. So it wasn't the best crowd that we've had, but it was solid for a midweek show. The racing and the car counts were fantastic. Hope that we can get an earlier date on the schedule next year.
How impressive was it to see Bobby Pierce go to Lernerville for the first time and come away with a victory?
Unbelievable. Just so talented. And, like I said, this place doesn't race anything like it did on the 2002 sprint car game. And I'm sure he's done some iRacing there, but when you're talking about Ricky Thornton, who's won the last 2 firecrackers, and Tim McCready, who's won firecrackers there, and not only to win the race, but to come from so deep in the field and then just absolutely drive away with it. We were in the press box, and I love working with DJ and Ben Shelton. I know some track announcers have an ego where they feel like if these series come to their track, they should be on the mic and be a part of that. I actually enjoy watching true professionals because I'm a part timer. I'm a full time principal by trade, so I just do the racing on the weekends, and I don't have the time to commit to it like these guys do. But just their knowledge, their passion for it, they have a lot of fun. But we're sitting in the press box, and Bobby's just clearly driving a right way with it, and said our flagman needs to kick his water bottle out of the stand onto the track to have a caution just to make it interesting at the end, because you could tell it about once he took the lead and a little bit past the midway point, you knew that unless there was a caution or unless he got a flat tire, he was just going to drive away with it. So wasn't the most dramatic race, but it was a lot of fun to watch, and just to see the sheer talent shine through with Bobby Pierce like you have over the years with some other drivers. It was just really cool to have him at Lernerville Speedway. And especially right after, because his dad was so close to Scott Bloomquist. So, he gets up on the car and does the Bloomer crotch chop or whatever you want to call it. That was a really cool tribute. So just another great opportunity to showcase Lernerville Speedway on a national stage.
So moving forward, for those of our listeners that don't know what the CommonwealthClash is, can you just explain it?
Yeah, so for a long time, it was a World of Outlaws race. For a long time, it was in May, and then at some point 10, 15 years ago, it shifted to a September race. It was usually somewhere between 10 and 25,000 to win. Last year, High Limit came in and wanted, to make it bigger and better. So then, like I said, it went off so well last year. We had a great car count, great fans. Obviously, Dale Jr. put that crowd over the top, and we can't depend on that. But just based on the success of that event last year, JP, Josh Peterman, Brad, and Kyle reached out, and they were actually the ones. We didn't offer it. They were the ones that reached out and said, "Hey, can we make this a 2-day race?" And I've been wanting a 2-day or 3-day sprint car race as long as I've been alive, sitting in turn one. So to have the high limit racing series there and to be on Flow TV and to have the opportunity to have the best sprint car drivers in the world not there for one night but for 2 nights is an amazing opportunity, and it'll be a fantastic weekend. And that's 2 weeks away, so that's Friday, Saturday, September 13th and 14th. You can get tickets on LernervilleFab4. All of the advanced ticket purchases come with a free fan pit pass. There will be single day tickets. I know some people can't get there on Friday, or if they want to go to a football game Friday night and come for the 50,000 to win show. There will be single day tickets eventually, but all you can buy right now is the 2-day pass because we want to prioritize that when we're talking about reserve seats. So I look forward to having everybody at the Speedway. And I'm probably just about out of batteries on my iPhone. I got an old iPhone. The back is all cracked, the front's cracked, and I think the battery is on its last leg. So probably need to wrap up with you guys for tonight if that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Love what you guys do. Love to see new people getting involved in the sport and sharing what we do, and keep up the good work and keep moving forward with it. Hope it's working out for you guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a nice night.
We'll talk to you season preview next year, maybe sometime in February or March.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. That was a great preview, and if I can speak, that was a great recap of the Fab4 regular season and a little bit of a preview for the CommonwealthClash as well as the Steel City Stampede. We want to thanks Big E for coming on. We really appreciate it. Get your butt to Lernerville this year. They only got a handful of shows left. The Stampede, we didn't really touch on it too much. It's a 3-day show. Thursday night is Thursday, October 10th is practice night. The 11th is heat races for about like 10 classes, I would say. There's you got 410 sprints, super late models. I don't know if
I
I
have
want
it
to say
pulled
rush
up.
late
You want me to
models.
read the
Oh,
list?
yeah, read the list
Yeah.
because I'm just going off the top.
So the classes they're running are late models, sprints, modifieds, pro stocks, rush late models, rush sportsman modifieds, rush winglet sprints. The 305 Allegheny Tour will be there. Then they're doing enduros, mini stocks, and the UEMS modifieds. Take that off your list. It'll just be E-mods.
And I believe the Enduro is on the second night or the third night. I mean, Saturday, October 12th. That's when they run the features. They do the heat races on Friday night, then features on Saturday. And last year it was a great time. And, you got all the great time to go meet your favorite driver. They're going to be, a lot of them camp there and stuff and hang out and, eat. There's a big bonfire.
Big
I don't know.
concert.
Yeah,
Probably a concert. There was a concert
or,
last year.
or no, last year it was a karaoke competition actually.
There was a karaoke competition and a concert, I believe.
Oh, oh, well, there's lots to do down there on that weekend, and it's a great time. So you definitely should plan on being there as well as at the Clash, and even this Saturday at the Charlton Brand Memorial. Even though now happened before this episode drops, but if you like what we're doing, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Rate 5 stars and follow on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We're on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on
TikTok.
Threads. Yeah, we're on TikTok now. We got one little 12-second clip up right now. Hopefully, I'll get to some footage and that I have and create some more TikToks and reels on like YouTube and stuff. But yeah, the more you like watch our stuff, follow us, like, comment, and all that stuff, the more we'll get out in the algorithm and the more we can do. and more we can grow, and it really helps us a lot with you guys doing that. But most importantly, get out to a dirt track and give no flags. Yeah.